Thank you for watching Safe Haven Radio. I'm so glad you're here today. Let's explore something together that many of you might be experiencing right now. That profound feeling of life exhaustion, when even getting through each day feels overwhelming. Many people facing similar challenges have found their way here, and I want you to know that you're in a safe space. We'll be looking at what the latest neuroscience tells us about why this happens and, more importantly, what science shows can genuinely help. Before we begin, I want to acknowledge something important. The information I'll share today is based on scientific research, but everyone's situation is unique and complex. If you're experiencing severe exhaustion that's significantly impacting your daily life, please consider reaching out to a mental health professional who can provide personalized support. What we'll discuss today may offer helpful insights, but it's not a substitute for professional care. Let's take this journey together at your own pace, going step by step through what science has discovered about recovering from life exhaustion. Now, let's talk about what's actually happening in your brain when you feel this overwhelming exhaustion. Recent research from leading institutions has made remarkable discoveries using advanced brain imaging technology. When you're experiencing life exhaustion, measurable physical changes occur in your brain structure. Scientists have found that the prefrontal cortex, which is responsible for critical functions like decision-making, attention, and self-control, actually becomes smaller during periods of chronic exhaustion. This isn't just in your imagination, it's a real, observable change that explains why making even simple decisions feels impossibly difficult when you're exhausted. Research has also revealed fascinating findings about the amygdala, the part of your brain that processes emotions, especially stress and fear. Brain imaging studies showed that in people experiencing exhaustion, there's diminished connection between the amygdala and other important brain regions like the anterior cingulate cortex, which helps regulate emotions and impulses. This scientific finding explains why controlling your emotions becomes so challenging when you're exhausted. It's not a personal failing, it's a neurobiological response to prolonged stress. But here's where the story gets truly hopeful, and this is perhaps the most important discovery I want to share with you today. Research from a prominent university study found something absolutely remarkable about brain plasticity. They followed individuals recovering from severe burnout and exhaustion, and after just 1 month of implementing specific evidence-based recovery practices, brain scans showed complete neurobiological recovery. These individuals' brains looked exactly like the brains of people who had never experienced chronic exhaustion. This demonstrates that your brain has an incredible capacity to heal, regenerate, and even become stronger. A comprehensive meta-analysis examining over 15,000 scientific publications on burnout and exhaustion revealed patterns in brain function that we can now measure. Researchers found that exhausted individuals show reduced functional connectivity in what's called the alpha frequency, similar to patterns observed in conditions like mild cognitive impairment. However, systematic reviews of intervention studies demonstrated that specific, scientifically validated approaches successfully restore these neural connections. Participants in these studies showed significant improvements not just in how they felt, but in measurable brain function. Large-scale studies from 2024 involving thousands of participants compared different recovery approaches. The research found that combining physical exercise with mindfulness-based practices produced what scientists call large effect sizes, meaning the improvements were substantial and clinically meaningful. Specifically, regular physical activity reduced exhaustion symptoms by approximately 65% while simultaneously decreasing anxiety and depression. The brain imaging component of these studies was particularly revealing, showing that these interventions literally rewire the brain, creating new neural pathways and strengthening existing ones within just 4 to 6 weeks of consistent practice. Now, let's move into the practical methods that this research has identified as most effective. I want to emphasize that you should approach these at your own pace, starting with whatever feels manageable. You don't need to implement everything at once, and it's perfectly fine to begin with just one approach that resonates with you. The first evidence-based practice is what researchers call the morning neural reset protocol. When you wake up, before checking your phone or diving into your day, spend just 5 minutes doing mindful breathing exercises. Research has demonstrated that this simple practice activates the prefrontal cortex, that same brain region that becomes impaired during exhaustion. Studies show that when practiced consistently for 2 weeks, this morning routine increases emotional regulation capacity by 40%. The technique is straightforward. Sit comfortably, close your eyes if that feels right, and simply focus on your natural breathing. When your mind wanders, which it absolutely will, gently bring your attention back to your breath. This isn't about achieving perfect focus, it's about training your brain's attention systems. The second scientifically validated approach involves physical activity, but in a very specific way that research has optimized. Studies found that engaging in 20 to 30 minutes of moderate exercise, 4 times weekly, provides the ideal frequency and duration for stimulating something called brain-derived neurotrophic factor, or BDNF. Think of BDNF as fertilizer for your brain. It's essential for neural repair and growth. This doesn't mean you need to join a gym or run marathons. Walking at a pace where you can still talk but feel slightly breathless counts as moderate exercise. Swimming, cycling, dancing, any activity that elevates your heart rate moderately will work. The consistency matters more than the intensity. If 4 times weekly feels overwhelming right now, start with once or twice. Any movement is better than none, and you can gradually build up as your energy returns. The third evidence-based practice involves mindfulness meditation, and here's what the research specifically shows about how to do this most effectively. Meta-analyses combining data from multiple studies found that 10-minute daily mindfulness sessions are sufficient to create measurable changes in brain connectivity within 8 weeks. You don't need special equipment or to sit in any particular position. You can use free apps, guided sessions on YouTube, or simply set a timer and practice on your own. The key is consistency rather than duration. Research participants who practiced for 10 minutes daily showed better outcomes than those who practiced for longer periods but less regularly. Social connection represents the fourth crucial element that science has identified. I know that when you're exhausted, socializing often feels like the last thing you want to do. However, research proves that social support has powerful effects on your physiology. Studies show that meaningful social interactions reduce cortisol levels, your primary stress hormone, by approximately 30%. The research specifies at least 3 meaningful social connections weekly. This doesn't mean you need to attend parties or large gatherings. A phone call with someone you trust, coffee with one friend, or even a video chat counts as meaningful connection. Quality matters far more than quantity. The fifth evidence-based approach involves sleep optimization, specifically maintaining consistent sleep-wake times. Research demonstrates that keeping your sleep and wake times within a 30-minute window, even on weekends, improves cognitive recovery by 50% compared to irregular sleep patterns. Your brain relies on this consistency to regulate its internal clock and optimize the restoration processes that occur during sleep. If your sleep schedule has become erratic due to exhaustion, gradually shift it by 15-minute increments rather than trying to change everything overnight. Small, sustainable changes work better than dramatic overhauls. The sixth practice that research strongly supports is called psychological detachment. This means creating clear boundaries by completely disconnecting from work tasks for at least 2 hours before sleep. Studies found this practice reduces next-day exhaustion by 45%. Your brain needs time to transition from work mode to rest mode. During these 2 hours, avoid checking work emails, thinking about work problems, or engaging with work-related materials. Instead, do activities that help your mind genuinely disengage, reading fiction, listening to music, spending time in nature, or practicing a hobby. Let me be clear about something important. Implementing these practices won't eliminate exhaustion overnight. Recovery is a gradual process, and there will be ups and downs along the way. Some days you might feel more energized, other days the exhaustion might still feel overwhelming. This fluctuation is completely normal and doesn't mean the approaches aren't working. Research shows that sustainable recovery typically occurs over weeks and months, not days. Be patient and compassionate with yourself during this process. Also, please don't blame yourself if you find certain practices difficult to maintain. If you miss a day or a week, that doesn't erase your previous efforts or mean you've failed. Simply return to the practices when you're ready. The goal isn't perfection, it's sustainable progress toward feeling better. If you notice that despite implementing these evidence-based practices your exhaustion is worsening, or if you're experiencing symptoms like persistent hopelessness, significant changes in appetite or sleep beyond what we've discussed, or thoughts about harming yourself, please reach out to a mental health professional immediately. These could indicate that you need more intensive support than self-help approaches can provide, and there's absolutely no shame in seeking that help. Now, let me summarize the key points we've explored today so you can remember them easily. First, brain exhaustion is reversible through neuroplasticity. Your brain can heal and regenerate. Second, mindfulness practices rewire emotional regulation circuits effectively when practiced consistently. Third, exercise stimulates neural growth factor production that's essential for brain repair. Fourth, social support accelerates psychological recovery significantly by reducing stress hormones. Fifth, consistent sleep patterns optimize your brain's cognitive restoration processes. Sixth, psychological detachment from work prevents exhaustion from accumulating day after day. I want you to take away one fundamental truth from today's discussion. Your exhausted brain isn't broken or permanently damaged. The latest neuroscience research proves beyond doubt that with these evidence-based interventions, you can restore your mental energy and emotional resilience. Change doesn't happen all at once, but within weeks of consistent practice, your brain will begin its remarkable journey back to vitality and strength. You don't need to implement everything we discussed today. Choose one practice that feels manageable and start there. Even small steps create positive changes in your brain and your life. If today's content provided any support or hope, please hit the like button. Your support helps this channel reach others who might be struggling with similar challenges. If you'd like to continue learning about mental health together and stay connected with evidence-based approaches to well-being, please subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. I'm here to share scientifically grounded information that genuinely helps. May your hearts feel a little lighter after our time together today. Remember, you're not alone on this journey, and recovery is possible. Thank you so much for listening to Safe Haven Radio. Take care of yourselves, be gentle with yourselves, and I'll see you in the next video. Please remember that the information shared in this video is educational and based on scientific research, but it is not medical advice or a substitute for professional mental health treatment. If you're experiencing severe symptoms or your condition is significantly impacting your daily functioning, please consult with a qualified mental health professional who can provide personalized care and support.